saving the wetlands and a home for cranes. In the last few years, more Sarus cranes, a threatened species, have been spotted returning to the wetlands in Can Giang province. The restoration of the wetlands. The last extensive remnant of a Leperonia grass ecosystem in the Mekong River Delta has been ongoing for decades. The Phu My Conservation Project, begun in 2006, has played a major part in preserving the local habitat for Sarus cranes, and has helped locals earn a living by making handicrafts from Leperonia. In the late 80s, conservation efforts by foreign and local groups helped restore the wild grasses and wetlands in Vietnam that were once a habitat for the Sarus crane, the largest flying bird in the world that is now on the threatened species list. Years of war had decimated the wetlands in southwestern Vietnam, which were home to the cranes, considered a sacred symbol in the country because of their lifelong loyalty to their partners and longevity. Over the years, conservation projects, many of them carried out by the International Crane Foundation, ICF, and local scientists, have helped safeguard small remnant wetlands that cranes could use. Despite the appearance of more cranes last year and earlier this year, the wetlands area in Phu My commune in the coastal southern province of Can Giang remains somewhat under threat, mostly now due to climate change. In the past, the main threats were habitat loss and degradation of food resources caused by human activities, including illegal conversion of wetlands, changes in agricultural practices, and poisoning from agricultural and industrial chemicals. The trade of eggs, chicks and adults of Sarus cranes and the hunting of eggs and adults for food were also a threat. One of the most successful efforts in maintaining the wetlands habitat over the years has been the Phu My Conservation Project. Begun in 2006 in Can Giang's Melaleuca forests. The Phu My Sanctuary, which contains Kobang, Leperonia articulata, a grass-like perennial plant favored by the Sarus cranes, is located in Can Luang district which borders Cambodia. Last year, and more recently, in March and April, many cranes were spotted at the Phu My Sanctuary, an unexpected surprise for locals and scientists. At the end of April, my officers saw more than 100 Sarus cranes in the Phu My conservation area, looking for shrimp, their favorite food, Lam Hong Tone, Deputy Director of the Phu My Conservation Project, said. The cranes are very smart and fly away if they hear noise. So, you have to watch them from afar, maybe more than 100 meters away with binoculars. The village of Phu My is among the poorest in Vietnam, according to Tone. The adjacent 5,000-acre wetland area supports the last extensive remnant of Leperonia grass ecosystem in the Mekong Delta. The wetland is important for biodiversity, and provides the major economic base for the community's Khmer ethnic minority, as villagers harvest grass to produce woven goods, he said. This year, researchers from the Center for Biodiversity and Development in Can Luang district also noticed that more cranes were visiting Phu My, around 121 morning in March and 77 the next day. At the crack of dawn, when mist covered the wet fields, a flock of cranes suddenly landed, Tone said. A researcher for the center said it was amazing to watch the cranes spread their wings and stretch out their long legs to land like airplanes. From February to April, the dry season, is the best chance to see them, he said. But you have to be prepared to walk or even crawl quietly if you want to have a chance of seeing them. In 2006, the Fumai Conservation Project won a Natural Environmental Protection Award from UN Habitat, and was a finalist for the 2007 Equator Prize sponsored by the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. Tran Tritt, director of the International Crane Foundation's ICF Southeast Asia program, a biology professor at HCM City National University, told Vietnam News that it had taken many years to seek foreign sponsors and persuade provincial authorities to supply land for the project. Thousands of dollars were invested to preserve the wetlands and protect the feeding habitats of the cranes, and if that had not been done, it would have all been lost, he said. In 2009, 6 local households dug canals, invading the proposed nature reserve to make way for shrimp breeding ponds. This took away water and grasses from the fields. But the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, and local authorities intervened and the locals filled up the canals, according to Tritt. Aside from serving as a habitat for the cranes, the Fumai Conservation Area helps local residents earn a living from growing leperonia grass and making handicrafts. The Fumai Project, which preserves 2,000 hectares of wetlands, has trained the ethnic Khmer locals in making high-quality handbags, hats and baskets from leperonia grass harvested in the area, contributing to sustainable development of the wetlands. Local residents have also received assistance in marketing and selling their goods to tourists in HCM City and higher-value export markets. Over the years, the Fumai Project has seen positive results in wildlife monitoring, control of invasive alien species, and sustainable harvest of leperonia. The grass grows in an area that acts as a shelter and feeding habitat for Sarus cranes, Tritt of ICF said. This was perhaps the first project in Vietnam that combined nature conservation, poverty alleviation, and cultural preservation. Nguyen Van Ho, a wetlands resident, whose mission is to collect information for the local authority, said the project had trained 150 people and now employs 32 full-time workers. Of 350 households in the area, 200 currently live on handicraft products with a monthly income of VND $5 million, $230 to VND $7 million, $300, 3 times their previous income. The, a resident in the Fumai Conservation Area, said in the early months of the dry season, when the water level falls in the Mekong Delta, masses of Elaeocharis dulcis appear in large spaces in the Melaleuca forest. At that time, the cranes often return to hunt for this food. In the wild, they often mate for life and stay in one place. It's said that when a crane dies, its partner will never mate with another crane. Some will even starve themselves to death. The beautifully feathered cranes can be seen performing delightful dances when hunting, trying to attract female cranes, or clearing their feathers. Their diet is varied. They are omnivorous and can eat coarse food in swamps and shallow waters such as roots, bulbs, insects, crustaceans and some small animals. However, shrimp and the tubers of Elaeocharis dulcis, a perennial grass-like herb with roots in muddy soil underwater, are their favorite foods. The Sarus crane can reach a height of 1.8 meters. Its body is gray while the head and neck is red, a contrast which makes them easy to recognize from a distance. The breeding season for the Sarus crane is usually in the rainy season in northern Cambodia. The birds pick up branches of trees, canes and dried grasses to make sturdy nests and cane breaks in the wetlands, carefully protected from enemies. Each season, the mother cranes lay 1 or 2 eggs, incubated by the mother or father cranes for 27 to 35 days. Even when they are able to fly, within 50 to 65 days, they do not separate from their parents in the first year. With help from their parents, they gradually practice their skills to find food and travel to wild lands in Dong Top, in Tram Chim National Park, the only other area in Vietnam where Sarus cranes appear, and Quien Giang. Although it is not technically a migratory bird, Sarus cranes often take long trips to seek food and water, especially during the dry season. They often sleep in shallow waters to avoid danger from predators. Win Van Hung, 43, an amateur photographer who has been taking photos of the cranes in Phu My for 15 years, said he was fortunate to be in the right place at the right time to see the birds strut their stuff as they stretch their wings or dart to the right and left in grass fields to look for food or fly into the sky. Another amateur photographer, from Quien Giang, said he was worried about the crane's survival. This year, poor farmers in Phu My commune secretly planted rice seeds on the Eliakaris Dulkis fields. However, the rice fields dried out because of lack of rain, he said. In the past, when rice was planted in the wetlands, the birds did not return. So, the policy now is to let the wild grass Eliakaris naturally grow, and more flocks of cranes are expected to return. We who live in the area can listen to their piercing bird songs in the early morning, see them spread their silver wings, and watch loving couples dance and small families look for food under the guard of bigger birds. But we wonder, how many people will be fortunate to admire this wild natural beauty? Will this beautiful scenery last?
देखो वीडियो कर ली मैंने, तुम करना शुरू करो तो बता देना तुम करना शुरू करो।
Courtship dance. Yes? And the call. 4th July 2016, Cambodia National Park. Sarus cranes had a dance and a call just now. This is still bowing.
फीमेल है रेड वन इज मेल
बोथ आर रेड एक्चुअली आई थिंक सो आगे जो मेल होना चाहिए साइज देखेंगे तो मेल की भी बड़ी है ना